good fortune, wisdom, and foretelling are significant terms we hear when talking about the impact supernatural powers have on future events, mostly because we want to believe that the religion we follow is capable of changing our lives. In Hinduism, the divinity who is prayed for to make changes in that regard is probably Ganesh, one of the most important deities in the Hindu pantheon. Also known as Ganesha or Ganapati, this Deva is mostly revered as a principal deity in both Jainism and Buddhism. And while scholars differ about his origins, Ganesh was well established during the Gupta period and had inherited traits from Vedic and Pravedic precursors. The name Ganesha is said to be a Sanskrit compound joining the words Gana and Isha, meaning group and master respectively. However, the word Gana in this case is often taken to refer to the Ganesh, a troop of semi-divine beings that formed a retinue of Lord Shiva. Being the subject of many myths, Ganesh is the patron of writers, travelers, and students. He is variously portrayed depending on specific cultures, but highly recognizable in human form as a corpulent entity with the head of an elephant. And just like many other Hindu deities, Ganesha has 4 arms that carry a few numbers of items such as an axe, a prayer bead, a lotus, and a bowl of cakes, which are to his liking to the slight detriment of his figure. Ganesh is a popular figure in Hindu art. His images were prevalent in many parts of India by the 6th century and showed wide variations and distinct patterns changing over time. He may be portrayed sitting, heroically taking action against demons, playing with his family as a boy, or engaging in a range of contemporary situations. It became common practice to place these images on the gates and doorways. One would call upon Ganesh before going on a journey, moving into a new house, or opening a new business, as he removes obstacles blocking new projects. Ganesha is the god of wisdom, a benign deity generally assumed to offer his help to overcome difficulties. The god of good fortune and the problem solver, bringing wealth and success in life. Some accounts says that he may have originated as a local forest deity who is now perceived as a popular domestic divinity seen in shrines close to crossroads. The god became a common household guardian who was made popular not only for his gentle nature, but by the result of his frequent appearances in temples devoted to other deities, often next to the sanctuaries of Shiva. A good example of a faith-based action would be the fact that all Hindus worship Ganesh at the start of any activity. These practices may seem primitive, pagan, and superstitious to non-Hindus and rationalists, but to the believer, Ganesh is the perfect symbol of an unstoppable power, prosperity, and protection as he opens the way to material success and spiritual growth. By invoking his name when starting an activity, and by placing his image where the activity is supposed to be, the devotee ritually and symbolically expresses his or her intention to the universe. This elaborate and intense expression seen as the first step in the manifestation and fulfillment of the practitioner's intention. There are several texts relating mythological tales associated with the way he was born and his achievements. Born as the brother of Kartikeya and scribe ruler of the Ganesh, the elephant-headed son of Shiva and Parvati is believed to have been created by a flaking skin of his mother. There's an account telling how the daughter of the mountain wished for a child, but her husband Shiva, both as a yogi ascetic and as an immortal, thought this was a worthless desire because he has no need for a descendant. But when he saw how unhappy the goddess was, Shiva agreed and made her wish come true while preserving his own distance from the conception of the child. The divinity told his wife to make her own baby from a piece of her skin while he was away. She did so, and soon enough the child was nursing at her breast. However, in this version of the story, as in many others, Shiva takes a dislike to the child, which led the boy to acquire his striking appearance as a result of an argument with his father. According to one legend, his elephant head was gained after his mother set him out to guard the doorstep of her abode while she took a bath. Shiva, who was away on his meditative wanderings, unexpectedly returned home, whereupon finding Ganesh, was furious at his impudence in blocking him the way while claiming that he was the son of Parvati. Shiva then called for the Buddha Ganesh, who ferociously fought with him. But Ganesha easily held his own against such fearsome adversaries, and Shiva himself is said to have accidentally burned his head to ashes. This part is not actually clear on how he did it, but Ganesha lost his human head during this specific encounter. In order to pacify his wife for decapitating their son, Shiva vowed to replace the boy's head with that of a first passing creature, which happened to be an elephant. So Ganesha gained his head and became the most distinctive Hindu gods, as he was now short and chubby. But in some deeper sense, he was very beautiful. As a reward for his great courage in fighting the demons, Shiva made Ganesha the leader of the Buddha Ganesh, hence earning his name. This version of his birth story explains why Ganesha is often seen in the hand of Parvati during a bath, and thus, among many other things, he was also the guardian of his mother's doorstep. The story that explains the god's association with intelligence and wisdom is his competition with his brother. This sets up a challenge that whoever would be the first to encircle the earth would also be the first to find a bride. Not wasting a second, Kartikeya mounted his blue peacock and immediately set out around the world. Ganesha, on the other hand, just walked over to his parents' house in the Kailash mountain to embrace them, then quoted a line from the sacred Vedas. He who embraces his parents 7 times gains the merit of encircling the world 7 times, at the end of which he earned his association with the concepts of Buddhi and Siddhi, meaning wisdom and success respectively, and 2 qualities personified as goddesses and now wives of Ganesha. The notion of Buddhi, which is a Sanskrit term translated as wisdom, is closely related to the personality of Ganesha, especially in the Puranic period when many stories stress his cleverness and love of intelligence. Ganesha's marital status varies in religious stories compared to his brother. They are a good example of how narratives and symbols could be transformed with space, as we observe how they are treated in different parts of India. Both are sons of Shiva. Ganesh is the intelligent elephant-headed scribe of the sages, while Kartikeya is the sharp and tough warlord of the gods. In North India, Ganesha is the younger brother who is married, while Kartikeya is the older brother who is not married, which is contrary in South India. Ganesha is often shown attended by a rodent because it was essential to subdue a vermin as a type of impediment that needed to be overcome. According to this theory, showing Ganesha as the master of a rat demonstrates his function as a remover of obstacles both on a material and spiritual order, giving the evidence of his role as a domestic deity who later rose to greater prominence. Ganesha is traditionally believed to place obstacles in the path of those whose inner self need to be checked, even if he has to be on himself. So despite being a Hindu deity, Ganesha is also known for having some kind of reputation for greediness. One day, after eating too much sacrificial cakes, he decided to take a ride on Cruncher. However, after coming across a large snake, Cruncher jumped back in fear, throwing off Ganesha, who landed on his belly that split open when hitting the ground. The cakes from his stomach were all over the place, but the undisturbed Deva carefully stuffed them back into his belly and wound the snake around his midriff to keep it closed. Therefore, the snake later became a common feature in Ganesha's iconography, sometimes used as a sacred thread wrapped around the stomach like a belt. This story is symbolic of Ganesha's ability to overcome all obstacles. Here, the snake is the cause of the accident in the first place. Therefore, It was used in a way to provide a remedy for the damage he had caused. Following this story, it's no wonder why Ganesha is often depicted riding on Krancha, his giant rod and symbolic of the god's ability to circumvent obstacles. One of the earliest names of Ganesha was the one tusk, because he has one missing. Many tales explain the reason why he has a broken tusk, but we will remember the one telling that he himself snapped it off to use it as a pen to transcribe the epic poem Mahabarata, dictated by a sage who wished to preserve the story forever. This version explains why Ganesh is the god of literature, as well as being the deity on whom devotees call whenever they have a difficult problem to solve. The Kundalini Yoga says that out of the 7 major chakras in Tantrism, Ganesha resides in the first one, called the Muladhara chakra. Ganesha thus holds, guides, and supports all other chakras, thereby governing the forces that propel the wheel of life. There is an annual festival honoring Ganesha for 10 days. It begins with people bringing in clay idols of him that symbolizes the god's visit. The festival culminates on the day when the idols are immersed in the most convenient body of water. Commercial and cultural contact extended the influence of India in Western and Southeast Asia. Ganesha was particularly worshipped by traders and merchants, becoming one of the Hindu divinities to reach foreign countries. Later on, Hindus migrated to Southeast Asia and took their culture with them, including Ganesha. Among the Indonesian mostly professed Muslim faith, Ganesha is not worshipped but seen as a symbol of knowledge, wisdom, and education. Today in Buddhist Thailand, Ganesha is mainly regarded as the god of arts and academics, as a remover of obstacles and a god of success. The canonical literature of Jainism does not mention the worship of Ganesha. However, he is worshipped by some Jains, for whom he seems to have taken over certain functions of the god of wealth. A Jain relationship with the trading community support the idea that Jainism took up Ganesha's worship as a result of commercial connections and influence of Hinduism. Of course, to the believer, Ganesha's worship is both real and rational. Any attempt to prove otherwise is met with hostility. He is a threshold divinity on the border of material and spiritual realms. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching this video on Ganesha, and if you want more, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, stay curious.